Hey storytellers! Welcome back to the Book Nook, the channel where we read and write together. Speaking of writing, can you believe how far you've come? We've done so much in preparation for our storytelling festival, brainstorming and planning out story details, just like the authors of our favorite stories. And now, it's time. We're going to start drafting our stories. Let's do it! Let me show you where I am with mine. I used my hero's journey outline to sketch out the key moments. Then, along with those sensory details we worked on last time, I've started turning my ideas into full scenes. Listen to this. Cordelia lived in a quiet village by the ocean, where the waves rolled gently onto the shore. She spent her days collecting seashells, watching fishermen fix their boats, and running across the sand. One morning, after arguing with her brother, she sat by the water, her face hot with frustration. As her anger grew, the waves crashed harder against the shore. When she calmed down, the sea softened. A chill ran through her. Her emotions controlled the ocean. So, there's my beginning. We meet Cordelia and are introduced to her setting. We see her ordinary world and notice everything change, the call to adventure. But now I need to build the middle of the story. This is where things get complicated, where the conflict grows. Let's work together to take my outline and turn it into full scenes of my story, step by step. Let's think about how to build out the action of our hero's journey using sensory details and character reactions. Here's what I have in my outline for the middle, when Cordelia starts to face challenges. Small accidents turn into disasters. Fear and sadness cause dangerous waves. The villagers start to worry. Now, let's turn these notes into a real moment in the story. At first, she tried to ignore it, but soon small accidents turned into disasters. Okay, notice how I'm telling the readers that small accidents turn into disasters? How can we show this in our story? Pause here to write 2 to 3 sentences showing, using sensory details and action, how Cordelia is facing disastrous consequences from her connection with the ocean. How'd it go? Here's what I came up with. One evening, she stood in front of the villagers. Her hands were sweaty. Her stomach was in knots. They stared at her. They were waiting for her to speak. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. The ocean made a low rumbling sound. The waves crept higher, licking at the shore. Then, crash! A wave exploded against the docks, sending fishing boats rocking wildly. The villagers shouted as ropes snapped and crates tumbled into the churning water. For days, no one could sail. It's okay if yours doesn't sound exactly like mine, as long as you showed the reader how small accidents became more serious for Cordelia and her village. We've introduced some challenges, and now need our conflict to deepen. What could happen next that makes Cordelia's situation even more serious? Here's how I showed this moment in my story. When her grandmother became ill, sadness weighed on her like a heavy stone. Her grandmother was always a source of calm, comforting peace. She sat near the marketplace, hugging her knees, eyes stinging with unshed tears. She held in all her sadness, anger, and fear. A deep groan came from the sea. Suddenly, a powerful wave surged forward, rushing over the sandy paths. Water slammed into the market stalls, knocking over barrels, soaking baskets of fish, and scattering vegetables into the flood. People scrambled to save what they could. Cordelia's heart pounded. She hadn't meant to do it, but the more she fought her emotions, the worse things became. Now, take a moment to reread the scene I just wrote about Cordelia and compare it to my outline. Check off if I included all the key moments from my outline. Okay, perfect. It looks like I have everything in my outline. The small accidents, the fear causing danger, the villagers worrying. Now it's time to look back at our hero's journey outline. We're at the part where Cordelia is going to face her biggest test. Let's think this through together. How might the ocean look, sound, and feel when she's facing this big test? Take a minute to write down your thoughts. Here's how I started to write the final part of the story. Then the storm came. Dark clouds covered the sky, making everything darker. The wind was loud, whipping across the village. Villagers ran, fearing for their lives. The ocean is wild, sending huge waves crashing onto the shore. Cordelia struggled to take it in, frantically trying to decide what she could do to save herself and her people. Okay, Cordelia is in the midst of her big test. If you were the author, how would you end this story? What would Cordelia say or feel in this final big test? And in order to return home changed, how would you show that she's grown or learned something? Pause here and write just 2 or 3 sentences to wrap up this hero's journey. Ready to see how mine ends? The storm roared inside her chest. She paused. Cordelia thought about how her grandmother always made her feel, calm and at peace. She squeezed her eyes shut and took a slow breath. She let the fear rise, then let it go. Slowly the waves shrank. The wind softened. The storm faded. The village was safe. Cordelia had changed. She no longer feared her emotions. She understood them. And with that understanding came control. She was able to protect her home, no longer ruled by fear but by wisdom. Now, when she stood by the ocean, she felt calm. She knew her power was in her control and that she would always be connected to the sea. What do you think? Does the ending feel like a good resolution for this hero's journey? Do we get a sense of how much Cordelia has grown? Amazing work today, storytellers, and thanks for all your help along the way. But you didn't just help me. Don't forget, you're an author too. Think about it. You've done so much to get here, developing your characters, imagining vivid settings, building out your plot, and gathering powerful sensory details. And now, you're ready for the next big step, drafting your story. Use your outline and the sensory ideas you've brainstormed to start expanding your scenes, just like we did together today. You've got this, and I can't wait to see what you create. See you soon, storytellers!
Hey.